Do you think when folks see a little church, do they see a house of prayer? Or do they see something else? We're going to think about that today on Now What Devotion from Trinity Lutheran and Cyrus. So I am sitting out in a spot that is often my house of prayer. It is a shady spot under the oak trees here out at Scandia West. And I come out here when I have some thinking to do and some connecting with God to do and some discernment to do. It's a place that is peaceful, where I can hear the breeze, I can think, and I don't rush when I'm here. The text we have this week is from Matthew chapter 15, and it's a hard one. And that's why I'm out here thinking. Jesus is traveling in the region of Tyre and Sidon, and he comes upon a woman. Now, usually you would say a Syro-Phoenician woman. That's what they would have been called. But in fact, Matthew names her a Canaanite woman, which would be the equivalent of naming her an enemy. He names her as somebody who is clearly and obviously against God's people at that time. So this question of in and out immediately comes up, and this question of who is our enemy, love your enemy. But then also Jesus' response here is a super challenge. And you've heard me talk about this one before, but I struggle with it. The woman comes up and says, Jesus, my daughter is possessed, and you're the only one who can save her. She names him rabbi, teacher, Lord, say all the things. And he says nothing. He is silent. Now, I guess he doesn't cast her away, and I've heard some people make that argument, and that is something. I mean, like this enemy approaching to these people while they're in a foreign land would be very threatening. And further, just like a minority in any majority other place, the role of men and women, the fact that a woman approaches, I'm sure others could have accused there of being some kind of wrongdoing, so it's dangerous in that sense too. But he doesn't respond. And the disciples go, Lord, she's bothering us. Can you please send her away? And he says, and this next response is also hard. He says, I've been sent only to the people of Israel, the chosen. And she says, Lord, you've got to help me. Please heal my daughter. And he says, finally he responds to her and he says, it's not fair for me to give to you what's supposed to be given to this chosen people. But he says, given to the dogs, what is for the chosen, the covenant. That's harsh. The church is not a place that is always looked upon with love and warm and fuzzy feelings. One of the texts we have this week is from the book of Isaiah. It's chapter 56. And this was written when a group of people had been sent out and captured by the Babylonians, the exile, and they gone home. They finally made it back home, and they said, are we still God's people? I guess we'll have to double down on the rules and rebuild the temple. And so they were getting ready to divorce all the foreign wives and cast all these women and children out, any foreigners, to try and be holy. And God says, what are you doing? Stop it. And he goes, my holy mountain will be a gathering place for all peoples. He says, my community is a house of prayer for all peoples. That was a massive rule change, not a warm and fuzzy moment for the people of Israel, but in fact, deeply destabilizing. And when we welcome in that which is new and different, it is always that. It is destabilizing. Strangers are strange to us. But the church itself, like I said, when you look at this, for many of us living out in a rural area with a history of positivity with the church, would say, oh, what a cute little church. But there's lots of people who would look at that and say, that is the source of those who hurt me. That is the place where it was said that I couldn't be there. I didn't belong. I said the wrong things. I looked the wrong way. My family was the wrong family. My last name was wrong. I mean, even this little church, God bless them. I'm sure when they first started here as a little Norwegian church, I'm sure if you were German or Irish Catholic, boy, you weren't welcome. And that wasn't a judgment on those people. That was a product of the time. And God says, no, those who are faithful, those who believe, they are welcome. And my house will be a house of prayer for all people. And Jesus, when the woman, he says to her, it's not fair. I can't do that. She says, Lord, even the dogs under the table deserve the crumbs. And he goes, your faith has made you well. God's house will be a house of prayer for all people. Is it right now? I mean, I think the answer is not always. And that is our constant work to be reaching out and living lives, prayerful lives that reach out, but also being changed as we welcome people in and allowing their voices to be heard. These are tough challenges. How do you struggle with this? How might you make a point to hear a new voice? How has the church hurt you? How have people at church hurt you? Have you forgiven them? Could you? And will God help? These are all big questions this week. I'm Pastor Chris out in my own little house of prayer here. It's everybody's. It's open for anybody, of course, but just a special place for me. Thinking about these things and praying to God. I'm Pastor Chris from Trinity Lutheran Church in Cyrus, now at Devotions. We'll see you next time.